Welcome back to the platform. Welcome to another video. The name of the channel is Black is One, a platform dedicated to waking up the black masses to unite, as it is the only way, as a collective, as a race, we will ever be able to elevate ourselves and prosper. And do remember to subscribe to the channel if you support the movement. So get comfy and let's go. Before we move into exactly what I want to talk about today, I have a question for you. This is the question. Would you be comfortable saving in a bank, for example, that has a track record of running away with their clients' money? Well, I guess it depends. Maybe if you're desperate, or if you're crazy, or if you don't know the history of the bank, then probably you will. You see, when I see black people finding all sorts of reasons to get comfy with their arch nemesis, I don't get frustrated with them, I don't curse them. I'm very patient because I know that 9 times out of 10, they are simply ignorant. They are not taught in schools the things that I will be talking about in this video. So they simply don't know what they're dealing with. They are judging the enemies of their civilization, the haters of their very existence, based on their own standards. It's like when you think that someone will not do something to you because you wouldn't do it to them. That is 100% childish in this time and dispensation. If anyone has that kind of thinking in this time, then he or she is the perfect candidate for exploitation. Now, we know that when it comes to violence and barbarity, a kind of violence that is calm and remorseless and cold and calculated, no human group has excelled more than the Europeans, and no other human group has experienced the blunt of that savagery more than the Africans. That is a blatant fact. That is like a given, generally speaking. But today I'm going to be talking about a specific country, Germany, and a part of their history that they would want us and the world to forget. A piece of world history that is suppressed, that is not taught in history classes. And then I'm going to spend a little time telling you what I want you to do with the information, what this story has to do with black unity. What normally comes to mind when one think of Germany? If you look in the media, you will think of them as the largest economy in Europe, a nation holding its own, trying to rebrand and behave itself after its action in World War I and World War II. The football lovers may think of them as one of the top contenders in the World Cup. They have won the World Cup 4 times, I think. Usually, the perception is positive. But there's a side to Germany we need to know about. Germany, like France, like Britain, like Spain, like Belgium, took its turn in the rape of Africa and the oppression of the African people. You see, the world remember what was done to the Jews. And I'm not taking anything away from the Jewish people, but I like to use them as a reference because for the most part they look like Europeans, and as such, the Europeans respect them. That is my opinion. So it is always interesting to see how they relate to us as a people they have oppressed and persecuted, and how they relate to the Jews, people they have oppressed and persecuted. The Jews are entitled to use whatever means necessary to keep the Holocaust at the forefront of humanity's memory, so that the world will make sure that no such thing ever happened to them again. The term concentration camp is infamous because of the Jews. It conjures up anger and disgust and disdain, shame, barbarity, and all these negative adjectives. Adolf Hitler is the wickedest man in history because of what he orchestrated against the Jews. The Jews were compensated for the crimes of the Holocaust. An entire country, Israel, was created for them in Palestine in 1948, where they were relocated from Europe under the protection of the British military. But when it comes to black people, we should forget the transatlantic slave trade and 200 years of chattel slavery. We should forget colonization and the depopulation of Africa. Apartheid in South Africa and apartheid in the United States. And these are just a few of the systems of terror that they have put us through. I came up with the idea for this video while I was looking for some pictures for my last video about the queen and victim mentality. Not my last video, but one of my previous videos. And I came upon an article, well, it's really a website, about a genocide in Namibia carried out between 1904 and 1908. And I said to myself that as a history enthusiast, I have never heard about that. We know about Germany and the Jewish Holocaust. But what is usually left out is what Germany did to the Namibians, the Africans, before they turned their attention to the Jews. So it's like Germany is retreating into the darkness. And I'm going to call them out. Germany was involved in the partitioning of Africa. The conference at which the European nations decided which part of Africa they were going to take. That conference was held in Germany, Berlin. It was called the Berlin Conference in 1844. The prize for the first genocide of the 20th century goes to them. And they did it in Africa, in Namibia, to be specific, against black people. And that is what I'm going to be talking about in this video today. According to the story, it is said that the Germans were running out of living space in Germany due to the industrial developments that was taking place in the country at the time. I mean, that doesn't make much sense to me, but that's what the record says. So, because they were running out of living space, they went to Africa to find lands. Under instruction from the German government in 1844, the same year that I told you that the meeting took place in Berlin, where the European nations decided that they were going to take all of Africa and which country is going to get which part. That same year, 1884, a captain by the name of Lothar von Trotha from Germany landed on Namibian soil with a clear and specific order to take the lands of the Namibians by way of extermination. They started by confiscating the lands from the two main tribes, the Nama and the Herero tribe. Now when you say confiscate, it sounds so sophisticated and so polished. But what they did actually was that they took the land by pushing the people off of it, or just simply kill them. So that started in 1884. 10 years later, as more and more Germans started to occupy the country, in 1894, one of the worst things would happen. They discovered diamonds. And you know how goblins behave when they see precious metals. They go crazy. They will kill everybody and everything in order to get it. So as you can imagine, this was a difficult time for the Namibians. So as the two tribes now, the Herero and the Nama people, endure more and more hardships under the Germans in 1904. That will be 10 years after they discovered the diamonds. The people under the leadership of a brother by the name of Samuel Mahehiro and one called Hendrik Witbooi, Witbooi, and others, they fought back by attacking one of the German bases. Now, you know, when it comes to mindless violence, no one compares to the Europeans. You have to understand that in the court of the European quote-unquote civilized mentality, self-defense is a crime. And the penalty is utter destruction. I'm going to read for you a quote from the order that Captain von Trotha gave to his soldiers after the Namibians resisted their occupation and forced labor. So this is von Trotha talking to his troops before they go to punish the Namibians. He said, the Herero are no longer German subjects. Any Herero sighted within German borders, which is really Namibian borders, with or without a weapon, with or without cattle, will be shot. I will no longer accept women and children, but will send them back to their people or let them be slaughtered. With an order like this, you can imagine that thousands were slaughtered. 800,000 people died within a 4-year period. Some had to flee to the desert. The Germans would pursue them into the desert, poison their water sources and steal their cattle, rape their women, kill their children, and those who were forced by starvation and thirst to return to their lands, either killed or enslaved. There's a part of the story that stood out to me that gave a little sneak peek into the mentality of these civilized looking people. When they killed the people, their bodies were taken to their church. A church for the Germans. So the people doing these things were Christians. Inside the church building, the Namibian women were ordered to remove the skin and flesh from the bodies. In a video on the website, the person giving the story used the word meat. So the Namibians were ordered to remove the quote-unquote meat from the decapitated heads of their own family members so that the skulls could be sent back to Germany for research. Can you imagine someone murdering your son and then force you to peel the skin off his head and package it and send it to his address? And all this was being done in the Germans' place of worship. Think about that. These skulls were part of experiments that the Germans used to justify that whites were superior to blacks. In fact, one of their doctors, a man by the name of Eugene Fischer, taught the Nazi scientists. One of his students, Joseph Mengele, was responsible for the medical experiments in one of the largest extermination camps in Nazi Germany. When the Namibian women were raped by the German soldiers, this same doctor, according to his experiments on the children that were born, he concluded that they were inferior to their German fathers. I hope you see where this thing is going, This whole superiority-inferiority narrative. The superiority-inferiority theory based on experiment. So what essentially happened is that the terror that Germany unleashed on the Jews started with us. And by us I mean black people, the Namibians, specifically the Herero and Nama people. As I said, 800,000 people were just tortured to death. The genocide lasted for 4 years. It ended in 1908. And you would think that after 100 and something years, this generation would have a different art, That the largest economy in Europe, which paid reparations for crimes against 6 million Jews, would pay reparations to 800,000 Africans who they violated before they violated the Jews. But no, nothing has really changed. To be fair, they did give a kind of apology to the Namibians. Let me read what it says. Just a little piece. They said, in light of Germany's historical and moral responsibility, we ask Namibia and the descendants of the victims for forgiveness. The article that I'm reading from, it said that a gesture, not reparations, of 1.35 billion was given to the Namibian government to be spent on construction and development project and healthcare and training programs over a 30-year period. The Namibian government accepted, but not the actual people who the genocide took place against. The Nama and the Herero people have not accepted their quote-unquote apology, and they have not accepted their quote-unquote their gesture. So essentially it goes back to the same thing, that not much has really changed. To this day, 6% of Namibia are Germans, yet they own 60% of the private lands. What is the moral of this story? Why am I telling you this? To conjure up hate? No. To bring you to tears so we can have a crying festival? No. I am telling you this because Germany, by being silent, hopes that this matter will go away. So I am giving this update so that we don't forget. All the children of Mother Africa should know the names and faces of all those who have violated our mother. That is why I'm telling you this. That is the moral of this story. I'm telling you this to show you the extent that they have gone, are going, and will go to exploit us. Many people, when you think of enslavement of Africans and colonization and the pillage of Africa, when you think about racism and so on, we think France and Britain and the United States of America and Belgium, but not Germany. So this generation of black people runs the risk of taking Germany for a friend. If Germany is a friend, let them pay proper reparations to the Herero and Nama people. Put your money where your mouth is. I am bringing this up because I am concerned that we are making ourselves vulnerable as a race for those things to happen to us again. I am concerned that we sometimes behave like everything is okay. Like that's a long time ago and it is irrelevant to know these things. I am concerned that sometimes we fail to decode the old tricks, repackage as gifts. That is why I'm telling you this story. Because I am concerned that when a wolf is dressed up as a sheep, we are quick to let them into our house. I am concerned that we still see each other. After all of this, after all that we have been through, we still see each other as obstacles. We still harbor some kind of insane belief that Europe and the Europeans will one day do some good in this world for us. Today in 2022, there are still some of us who believe that it is better to form an alliance with them than with each other for the progress and protection and prosperity of Africa and Africans all over the world. We behave as if by blocking out the history of what they did to us, it makes them pleasant towards us automatically. We seem to think we can love them into repentance. A people refuse to apologize. We seem to think that we can change their minds and their hearts and their feelings towards us. We placate them, we smile with them, we love them, we speak their language, we wear their clothes, we watch their movies, we read their books, we bleach our very skin to look like them, we praise their gods. We have even betrayed our own to impress them, and they still hate us. They seek our forgiveness for what they did to us. But after 400 years, they have not forgiven us for the things we did not do to them. I want to ask a question. When will be a good time for us to give up on these people and turn to our own, build our own, love our own, speak good of our own, forgive our own, and rebuild our own civilization? I'm not talking about returning the favor to anybody or being vengeful to anybody. I'm talking about focusing inward, building up our family. They will never share with us. So when we leave our countries to build their country, those countries will never belong to us. The people who did those things to us, you think that they are kept in check by some change of heart? No. They are held in check because public sentiments are not in favor of those kind of action and those kind of behavior. So with all their military power, they are more powerful now than they have ever been. What they did in those times to take over the continent, what they had to go through, it is easier for them to do it now, militarily. But with all their military power, it is more difficult now than then because they are not able to deceive the world as they used to. Once upon a time, they had a monopoly on information. But more people are traveling now. People are on the internet now. People are listening to different sources for information. So the control they add over the information that people get is limited. So the fact that you don't see them behaving how they used to, it doesn't mean that they have vanished or that they have changed. They have changed their methods. There's no more a Captain Van Trotha with his soldiers and machine guns. Now they are in parliament. They are working in immigration. They are working in economics and trade. They are judges. They develop the school curriculums. They are police chiefs and police officers. They are in the military. They are heads of national security and intelligence services. They are into pharmaceuticals. They are heads of media corporations. They are heads of the IMFs and World Banks of this world. They are everywhere in their world, feeling arrogant and quote-unquote superior as ever, and entitled, pulling all the strings they can against every country that is not populated by Europeans. And you know that they act with special spite when it comes to us. Don't be blind, black people. I'm simply saying that I'm not convinced that these people have any good in them for us. If we think that we can do their bidding until they accept us and share with us, we are mistaken. And I need to put up my disclaimer, because I know that somebody's going to come and say that I'm talking about white people and I'm generalizing and all of that. And they are good white people and not everybody is the same. I know that I'm talking as a collective, I'm talking as a system. I'm not talking about your ordinary, decent Caucasian on vacation here and there, climbing some cliff here and there. I'm talking about the system. I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the global network, the big transnational cooperation, big media. I'm talking about the anti-black ideology and ideologists that have made it normal and acceptable for black people to have nothing. Right now, as you're watching this video, Europe is plundering Africa. You may ask the question, what can little me do? So yes, I watched the video. I agree with you, but what can I do about anything? You can start by caring. Not because they are not plundering your country. You don't care. They are plundering your motherland. Not because they are not doing anything to you specifically, but they are doing something to black people elsewhere. Let's say you come from the country and you're now living in the city and you get some news that someone is cutting down the trees in your community. They are redirecting the river. They are turning the playing field for the community into a dump. I think you need to make a call. You need to probably make a visit to your country to see what is going on. You don't live there anymore, but your family do. And if they are affected, meaning your family, it affects you. That's what I'm trying to say. Whether we're on the continent or not, all black people everywhere are family. Many of us follow current affairs, international affairs, world politics. But we get our information from BBC and CNN. And these white news networks are not friends of black people. We're in the internet age now. Check in on the continent, on one or two African platforms. There are many African-related content on YouTube. Check in sometimes. Be curious about black people's business. Ask questions. I'm simply asking you to care, to be careful, to be cautious, and remember your ancestors. I'll leave it here for this one. Until my next video, keep the drums beating, keep the torch burning, be kind to each other, speak good to each other. Speak good of each other. Seek out your history. Be black without apology. Remember to share the videos, like them if you like the content, and take care. Black is one. Live the revolution.